everyone, it's Tammy, and today we're going to make some meatballs, and we're going to do it semi-homemade, I guess is a good way to do it, or to say it, because I'm starting out with a jar of spaghetti sauce. This is just marinara, and I have my heat on high. I'm just going to pour this in. Now, if you have a large cup or a large can of tomato sauce, you can use that instead of this. And I'm filling it about halfway full with water. And that's going to be our base, but I'm going to add lots of stuff to it. I'm going to add 2 cans of tomatoes, and these are the fire roasted diced tomatoes. This one has garlic, my other can does not. It doesn't really matter. If you can find the kind with the Italian seasonings, that would probably be a good thing. And a lot of this is to taste. Just dump that in there. So this is the sauce that we're working on, and then we'll do the meatballs separately. And we cook them kind of separate, and then we put them together and we will bake them in the oven after a while. I'm getting this ready a little early just because I like my sauce to simmer for a while, and my husband and my son are both gone right now, so I thought that I'd go ahead and take advantage of the fact that they're not here, and I'd film and get this going. So I'm just stirring this up, and then I'm going to add about 5 or 6 shakes of paprika. And about the same amount of pepper. And I'm going to use a little more salt than that. Tomatoes, in my opinion, need salt, so I'm going to do probably twice as much salt. So I'm going to say about a teaspoon of salt. And about 10 shakes of Worcestershire sauce. And about 5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I love the smell of that. Smells like Easter. Well, vinegar. And then, this is going to be weird, but you want a tablespoon of instant coffee. I know that sounds weird, but it works. And I found this recipe online. I'm not even sure where I found it, but I've made it a few times, and every time it is fabulous. Whether or not I make it with the all sauce or if I start it with the spaghetti sauce, it doesn't matter. And you're going to want about 4 cloves of garlic. I'm using this minced garlic in a jar. I like that. And then you want about, I don't know, if you were using bouillon cubes, you'd want about 2 of them. So I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of beef base. And this is going to give it like a really rich, nice flavor. And this is salty too, so you don't want to over salt to start anyway. If you want to add salt, that's fine, but I would add it after you've added your teaspoon of it. I'd wait a little bit. I'm just going to put that in there because I want it to get the beef broth off. And then I'm going to add about a tablespoon-ish of brown sugar, and mine is the sugar-free brown sugar. It's made with stevia. And I don't like a sweet sauce, so I'm just going to do, I don't know, that's probably about 2 teaspoons. I think the recipe, excuse me, calls for a tablespoon. I'm actually going to put my granulated coffee in there just to get all that off of there. All right, let's stir this around a little bit with my spoon to get that base off. And I'm going to bring you over here so you can see it. See how it's kind of a really dark red? You should smell it. I wish this had smell-o-vision for you because it smells delicious already. And this is still on a high heat. And then I want to add 1 onion and about 2 peppers. And I have this 3 pepper and onion blend. It's frozen. I think I'm going to add half of this. And if that doesn't look like enough, I'll add the whole thing. I think I'm going to add a little bit of onion spice too. But make this your own, guys. I'll try to put the recipe below, at least as I have it, but honestly, there's so many different things that go in here. The flavor is just incredible. And I don't want to taste it yet. I want it to blend all of those flavors together. So I'm going to leave this on high until it starts to boil, and then I will lower the temperature down. And meanwhile, I will make the meatballs and we can start on those. So I'm going to bring you over to the island and we can do those. The sauce was boiling, so I moved it from an 8 to a 6, just so you know. So I turned it down a little bit. So for the meatballs, we are going to be using ground pork and ground turkey. So I have a pound of each. And you know, you can half this or whatever, but this does freeze well. So if this is too much for you to eat at once, you can always freeze it. So I'm just going to take my turkey and add it to a pan. And I'm going to take my pork and add that to the same mixing bowl. It's not really a, like, 'cause I don't know why I'm so worried about getting my hands in it, because I'm going to be using my hands to mix it all. You can use a mixer if you want to. I'm just going to use my hands because that's the way I'm used to it. Now I'm going to use about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. I'm just going to finish it. I have more. I use a big jar that I buy at Sam's, and then I just add it to there. And then you want a handful of Italian style breadcrumbs. If you just have regular breadcrumbs, use those. It's probably about 3/4 of a cup. We might need more of those, but hopefully not. And 2 eggs. You could get by with 1, but I'm going with 2 because I want the extra protein. And I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese as well, again, because I want the flavor and some more of the protein. And this mozzarella cheese has 8 grams of protein per 1/4 cup. And I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup. All right, so now the fun begins. I took off my jewelry and I'm just going to dig in, which is not very fun, really. I mean, I don't know, it's not bad, but sometimes it's nasty. Depends. I don't want to think about it, because if I think about it, then I get grossed out. But if I just know that I'm feeding my family, and this is going to make a big number of meatballs, and depending on the size that you want them to be, this is also a great recipe for meat loaf if you wanted to do a loaf. I love the combination of pork and, well, I was going to say beef, but I hardly ever use beef anymore. So just get it all good and combined. And it's cold. It will play with your hands. And my mom always said that you don't want it to get, like if you're making meatloaf, you don't want it to get too mushy. Like it'll get tough if you mix it too much, like the meatloaf will. So I don't mix this very well either. I mean, I mix it till it's mixed, but then I stop. Which is about now. And then just pull off some and make meatballs. And I like them to be a little bit substantial, so I make them a little bit bigger maybe, I don't know. Bigger than you'd buy in the packages at the store. And then for my family, I'm also going to make some spaghetti noodles. But for me, I'm just going to have meatballs with marinara and maybe a little mozzarella cheese on top. And I'm hoping that, well, I'm thinking that I can eat at least one. I'm hoping I can eat at least one. I might be able to eat 1.5, maybe, I don't know. We shall see. I haven't weighed them, but I might weigh one after I cook it. And pre-cooking, you know, they're gonna lose some weight and some size, so they're bigger now than they will be, I guess is what I'm saying. You want them to be fairly close to the same size though, so that they'll cook at the same temperature or the same time. And I just get my skillet full, and then we're gonna brown these. But then after they're browned, we're gonna take the sauce and add the sauce to the meatballs, or vice versa, depending. And then we're going to put, we'll probably add the meatballs to the sauce, and then we're going to put it in the oven for about 45 minutes to cook. But I won't do that part until later. Like I said, right now the guys are gone and I'm home alone, so I thought it would be a good time to get these taken care of. And the longer that sauce cooks, oh, the better it is, really. It just cooks down and it'll get really thick. So good. If you guys try this, I really hope you do. You will thank me, because it is a wonderful recipe. And I don't know what it is about that coffee, but that makes a great taste too. Now, if it were just my husband and I making this, I would probably half the recipe and go from there. But my son loves these. And he said he might have his girlfriend Erin come over today. But he said, I don't know if she can now. Her brother is coming home from college, so she may eat with them. But don't make any less, because I'll eat it. That's what he said. So that's how good these are. And they do freeze well too. I mean, you could even put them in the freezer uncooked, like on a pan. Don't cook them. Leave them on a pan and freeze them individually, and then put them together, and then you can cook them as you needed them. Or you could cook them and then freeze them. I mean, whatever you wanted to do, whatever was easiest and you had the time for. And this is certainly filling my meatball pan up. And this will give you lots of grease, because there, even though I'm using chicken or turkey, there is a lot of, there's pork, so that has a lot of fat. So be sure you drain these well. Some people like to add red pepper flakes too. That would be a fine addition. This one might be a big one. I can make one big one or two small ones. I think I'll go for the two small ones. Okay, and unfortunately you guys are going to have to stare at nothing for a second while I wash my hands. I have fingernails, so I was sure to scrub my fingernails before and after. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is take you guys back to the stove so we can brown these meatballs. Alright, so I'm going to turn the oven on, or the stove on. I'm going to do this at about 6, and the sauce is still about 6, or it still is 6. I'm not covering it because I want it to thicken up. So I think I'll just put the lid on like halfway. But then this, I want this to brown up on all sides. So that's how many meatballs it made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I think. So quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Sorry. Wasn't sure if I counted one twice or not. So I'm just going to brown these up as soon as the oven gets on. So I'll put you guys on fast forward. Okay guys, before I go any further, I need to tell you that that was far too much vinegar. I tasted it because it was smelling kind of vinegary, and I think I should have done 5 teaspoons and not 5 tablespoons. So you will not need to do this. I am adding some tomato paste to my sauce because there is no way. I was like, holy schmoly. So don't do what I said or what I did. Put 5 teaspoons in, and I'll make sure that the recipe below is correct. It wants to come out. Come out wherever you are. I just washed the dishes, so I don't want to have to wash them again. Although it's just a spoon, I know I could. Oh, I'm going to have to. So this is going to make it a lot more tomatoey. I'll let you know if I have to add anything else, but honestly, you shouldn't even have to do that. Just don't put so much daggone apple cider vinegar in there. If you like your sauce really saucy and not chunky, you can also use an emulsion blender and blend it up. That's much better. It's still very vinegary, but I think it'll cook down better. Woo-wee! And I have made this several times. I mean, you still screw up. So I'll put you back on fast forward. These are starting to brown now, but still got lots of time to go. So I will put you on fast forward, or actually I think I'll just wait until they're more brown. I guess I can let you guys see as I'm turning them. You might like to see how that looks. I don't know. I didn't put any olive oil or anything in this pan. You could if you felt like you needed to. I figured that the fat from the pork would be enough. But that's my own preference, so you can, I mean, be you. I sure hope I can save that sauce. It's a lot of good ingredients to waste if I can't, so I'm going to check on it in a little bit after I'm finished with these and make sure it's salvageable. And if not, then I'll just have to just start fresh with it. Alright, so we're just going to let those brown on another side and we'll be back. Okay, so they're getting brown on all the sides, which is fabulous. I'm going to turn the heat down to about 2 and just let them sit here and simmer while the sauce is still simmering. I don't want to add these to the sauce if I don't like the sauce or if I am not sure if it's ready for it. So I'm just going to let these cook, because these don't have to cook all the way through since they are going into the oven. But it won't hurt if they do. So I'm just putting it on low so that they can brown up a little bit more. This one kind of tore apart, so I'm just going to let it cook. So that's my plan. I have the sauce still boiling. I'm going to turn that down too, and we'll just let it all sit here for a little bit. Okay guys, so this has been, oh man, this has been on the stove for a while. Look at how good this looks. Hopefully you can see how nice and thick it is and rich. And then the meatballs are all crispy and yummy. And I'm gonna taste this sauce because I did end up adding, oh, it's so thick and yummy. I did add some, spit it out, Tammy, some baking soda, because I learned online that that was a way to cut vinegar taste. So I'm going to try this. Much better. Oh, much, much, much better. Yes, that's way better. I am going to, I have a pan in the oven that I just keep in there. I'm going to put my rack in low so that I can fit this in here, in there. And I'm going to turn the oven on. And I'm going to add these meatballs to my sauce. I guess I can turn the stove off. I have made these one time after work one day, and honestly it was hard to do. It was a lot of work. I mean, it tasted really good and it is, you know, obviously yummy, but I prefer to do this on a weekend. And I like doing it on Sundays because it's kind of like a neat Sunday dinner. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spoon and kind of stir it all up to get all the meatballs covered. Yum. Oh, I'm so excited. And then I'm just going to stick this in the oven for about 45 minutes. I have my oven on 350. It probably doesn't need to be quite that hot. I might even lower it down to like 300, or maybe even 250, just to let it cook cook and blend the flavors all even more together. And then the only other thing I need to do is make some pasta for the boys. So that is it. I will show you more after it's done, but yummy. Thanks, guys.